Hello, people. If you're watching this, you booked a reading with me, or you're just curious about astrology, and either way, you came to the right place. This is Mr. Jupiter. He's not a planet, he's a cat. And Pluto is in the other room. Just gotta do the introductions real quick. How you doing, buddy? So on this channel, we're going to talk about astrology, numerology, tarot cards, human design, stuff like that, esoterics. But this video is sort of your homework before you have a reading with me. It's just the conceptual stuff that applies to everyone. First, we're going to go through the signs and the houses, and then we're going to go through the planets. And the context for it is astrology is like the notion that we're senators for the moment that we came into the world, the moment that we like entered planet Earth in this galaxy. Like we're that energy and we bring it forward throughout our lives. So that's your birth chart, and you can sort of understand the flavor of that energy based on where the planets are in relation to Earth at that moment. You need the date, you need the time, you need the location. That moment is you. How'd you get in here? So that is sort of like your nature. That's your birth chart. You can also look at your nurture, where life has brought you with your progress chart, and then you can look at how energy right now influences the energy that you're trying to carry forward with transits. So we'll get into all that. But first, the signs. Oh, also, shout out to David Palmer, the Leo King, and John Thomas Fuller. Those are my mentors. They taught me everything I know over the past 11 years. Yeah, they're great. Couple of gems. So first we got Aries and Libra, represented by the 1st and the 7th house. The 1st house in Aries represents the self. It's like me, I am, identity, sort of bravado, like going after things, headstrongness. If we look at this, we see Aries is the top of the head. You know, the body is represented through the chart. We're going to dive into a lot on this channel, but in the beginning, I'll try and keep it basic. Aries is the head. It's like me. It's like you look at someone, you recognize them. It's their head, face area. 7th house is we. It's in the body. It's represented by the kidneys. It has to do with balance, relationships, partnership. The yang to your yin has to do with attraction, sort of mostly balancing with another person, or the public at large. Like your Facebook profile is 7th house Libra territory. 2nd house, 8th house. 2nd house is associated with Taurus. Taurus and the 2nd house are your money, your wallet, your toolbox, your skills. What am I good at? What can I bring to the table? Whereas the eighth house, opposite the second house, is other people's money, investment, taxes, debt. If you, yeah, inherit money, if you owe people money, it's like money and other people is the eighth house. And the eighth house also rules sex, intimacy, deep connections. It's very like taboo realm. Um, Whereas the second house is sort of like your comfort space. It's like uh, where you feel valuable and where you provide value. Third house, ninth house. We got third house is I think, ninth house is I believe, which is kind of more difficult to understand in the beginning. It's the third house is like your close, like your siblings, your neighbors, the people, the guy at Walgreens, the people in your immediate environment that you're very familiar with. It's like your neighborhood, basically. And then the ninth house is the opposite. So it's like foreign people going overseas, traveling long distances. The third house rules cars, ninth house, airplanes. Um, Ninth house is also college, higher education, whereas the third house is elementary school and high school, the earlier learning, whereas the ninth house is broader learning. Fourth house, 10th house, very important. Home is the fourth house. Work is the 10th house. So the fourth house I call the turtle shell. It's like I'm staying under the covers. I'm gonna light a few candles and stay under the blanket and just like cater to my feelings. Whereas the 10th house is opposite to emotion, energy, where you are going out and working and climbing a mountain, climbing a ladder, whatever you want to call it. Like you are identifying goals and then you're going after them. That's Capricorn 10th house energy. Um, and that's why it's the highest point of the chart, because it's your reputation, it's your long-term goals, it's very work oriented, whereas the fourth house is family, home, roots, foundations. It's where you're coming from, whereas the 10th house is where you're going to. Fifth house, 11th house, those are fun. Those are probably my favorites. Fifth is children, fun, gambling, Chuck E. Cheese, the casino, like playing is the fifth house. It's like let line them up, let's play. That's the fifth house. And then 11th house is who you do that with, your friends, your associates, people you work with that you hang out with after work. The 11th house also rules like hopes, wishes, dreams. Like say you're like an accountant, but like you want to learn how to play guitar. The learning how to play guitar thing is 11th house territory. And then the fifth house is, yeah, also creativity and joy, happiness. And the fifth house is associated with Leo, 11th house with Aquarius. Next, we got the sixth and the 12th house. So these are the last two that we're going to cover. The sixth is associated with Virgo, the 12th with Pisces. So they both have to do with patterns. The sixth house is your conscious patterns, chores that you do every day, sort of your habits, your routines, stuff you do over and over, like going to the gym or walking your dog or brushing your teeth, stuff like that. It's like a pattern that you do over and over consciously. That's the sixth house, your habits. Whereas the 12th house is your unconscious habits, those things that you wish you didn't do, but like you you still do all the time. Like the 12th house can get a little bit into the weeds, literally with weed or alcohol or other drugs. Like the lighter side of the 12th house is music and the collective unconscious, like connecting to spirituality and figuring out your place in the universe. Like, but it in any case, whether you're on the light side of it or the dark side of it, the 12th house is about unconscious patterns. It's about that which we do that we're not quite in control of. The slippery slope um, is the 12th house in Pisces. Whereas, yeah, Virgo is the conscious patterns and like stuff you do consciously every day, um, sort of your daily work. Like I think of the 6th house as like an office job or a secretarial uh, duties kind of a thing. Next we got, so those are the signs and the houses. And again, the signs we'll hear. Let's do planets next. So first we got the sun, this guy. Planets and stars and moons and such represent inner characters, whereas the sign that they're in is like how they operate, it's their demeanor. And the house they operate in is the area of life that they operate within. So it's like character, demeanor, setting, planet, sign, house. First we got the sun. I'll kind of go through what each character is represented by and what's entailed in each one. The sun is the outward expression, whereas the ascendant, the first house that we talked about earlier, it's like your facade. Once you get past someone's facade, you're dealing with their sun, their outward expression. Who am I? Like their identity. It has to do with the body part having to do with the sun is the heart. It is vitality, your soul, your identity, your self-expression, consciousness. It's like your cornerstones, your mission, your signature. And the sun is sort of a archetypical representation of your father. So you can look at someone's sun in their chart and see sort of their relationship with their dad. Next, we got the moon, which obviously rules the mother, and the moon has to do with your internal self. That's once you get past the ascendant, the facade, and you get past the outward expression, you get to the inner expression. That's the moon. It's you home alone at midnight, like sitting in your bed, like contemplating life. It's like your innermost self. It's very like close to home. And the moon rules the home. It rules the mother, rules intuition, your inner psyche, your subconscious, your family, comfort, turtle shell, like sleeping, dreaming, your instincts. It's very like stomach oriented, whereas the sun is the heart, moon is the stomach. You got that feeling in the pit of your stomach. That's the moon. Mercury next, this guy with the little antenna coming out, is communication. How do you communicate? It's associated with the hands, the mouth, and the lungs, because that's what we use. We text, we talk, we use our lungs to speak too. Like it's thinking and communicating. That's Mercury. So like facts, truth, logic, fascination, driving, short trips, typing, running, like going around and collecting data. That's Mercury. It also rules siblings, because you gain a lot of information from siblings in most cases. Next, we got Venus, and Venus and Mars are a dichotomy. So Venus and Mars both have to do with, this is Venus right here. Venus and Mars are how we get what we want. Venus attracts it, whereas Mars pursues it. Venus attraction, Mars pursuit. So Venus has to do with the neck and the kidneys. And it's sort of the love planet. It has to do with bringing things to you, attraction, security, personal values, self-worth, money, stability. It has to do with your health, because health is involved. Balance, nature, art, and creation. Whereas Mars, girls are from Venus, guys are from Mars. So what do you think Mars has to do with? Lust, conquest, identity, motivation, desire, war. We're going after it. Violence, anger, force, penetration, ego, competition. We're going after something. Whereas Venus is like, oh, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. Like I've learned this skill so I can make this money. Simple as that. Mars is like, no, I'm gonna go get it, regardless of the consequences. Mars is more aggressive, whereas Venus is attractive. Next, we got another dichotomy, Jupiter and Saturn. So here's Jupiter right there, and this is Saturn right there. So Jupiter is expansion. It is making your world bigger. I think of it as Santa Claus because it has to do with being magnanimous, giving to people, gifts, exploration, travel, experience, optimism, luck, literally luck, like there's a lucky planet, optimism, but also principles and beliefs and like dogma. And it has to do with foreign people and foreign cultures. Say you go overseas, that's Jupiter energy. You're expanding your world. Whereas Saturn is contraction. It is making your world smaller. Like Saturn is like the corporate planet because it's like, oh yeah, like we're gonna consolidate everything. We're gonna get it all in this nice, neat little package. It's restriction. Saturn is work, time, organization, commitment. It's like hurdles, like obstacles, mastery. It's the system. On the darker side, it can be like slavery, but on the lighter side, it's just like hierarchy, like the pecking order. It has to do with tradition, order, boundaries, and reality itself. Because Saturn is the furthest out planet that we can see. Beyond that, we got the outer planets. So we'll get into that next. Next, we got Uranus. It sounds weird because it is weird. It rules. Oh, by the way, Jupiter rules the thighs, expansion, and then Saturn rules the knees, contraction, and kneeling at church and stuff. It's like tradition, and the order of things, like kneeling before someone. Uranus rules the ankles, weirdest part of the body. It has to do with originality, unpredictability. Bam! Like stuff you don't expect. Innovation, disruption, technology, genius energy. This is the Einstein planet and the Elon Musk planet. It's like fringe stuff, rebellion. The symbol you can see is it's associated with Aquarius. So these lightning bolts, it's like electricity. It's like if you tune into someone's frequency, that's Uranus, like consciously. Abrupt, radical action. experimentation. If I poke the bear, what happens? That's Uranus. Whereas Neptune, so where Uranus is the collective consciousness, where we're all connected, electricity, you know, Neptune is the unconscious. It's how we're all connected unconsciously. Neptune rules the feet, and it's like hypersensitivity, imagination, creativity, escapism, addiction, drugs, music on the lighter side, media, like watching TV is Neptune, listening to music and all that. But it has a very dark side because it has to do with loss, deception, like lying or being lied to. Clear, but it's like people who have a very strong Neptune are very clairvoyant, like they're very in tune with other people, and they have a very good bullshit detector. It's the collective unconscious is Neptune. It's like an ocean. Like it's fun playing in the waves, like in the shallow water. Like it's fun listening to music, you know, but you don't want to get taken out by the waves. Like you want to, it's a dance with Neptune. You don't want to flirt with it too hard, or you'll get lost at sea. Next, we got Pluto. This guy. Pluto is ruled by the dick, balls, and vagina. It has to do with sex, obviously, power, control, obsession, focus, intensity, death, rebirth, debt, money you owe other people, money you're going to get from other people, manipulation, polarity, politics, banks, debt, secrecy, magnetism, and survival. Are we going to make it? That's Pluto. Very intense planet. One of my favorites because it's absolutely no bullshit allowed. It's like a snake shedding its skin. Like whatever we don't need, you know, someone breaks their ankle, we're leaving them behind. It's like we got to keep going. Like it's survival and focus. So those are the planets. I always like to add Chiron, this guy. It's an asteroid, but it represents in astrology, it represents like a band-aid that keeps getting ripped off throughout your life, and like whatever area of life based on the house that it's in and the sign that it's in, you continue to get hurt in that area. So you're very good at being like playing therapist with other people in that realm because you keep on getting hurt the same way over and over. So you're like the best person to fix that problem for other people. And paradoxically, by doing that, by helping other people, you, if you take your own advice, you help yourself. Um, so that's Chiron, this key. And yeah, those are all the planets. These lines in the middle are aspects. This shorter red line is called a square. Red line's bad, blue line's good. So shorter red line, a square, means conflict, butting heads. Your inner characters are pissed at each other. They're not cooperating. Longer red lines, and let's get one up here. Aspects. There we go. So longer red lines, compromise, opposition. Square, short red line, conflict. Long red line, opposition, compromise. Meeting in the middle between two inner characters. Short blue line, sextile, 60 degrees, support. Long blue line, trine, harmony between two inner characters. Blue line's good, red line's bad. But it's not quite that simple, because if people don't have any red lines, their chart is boring. Like the royal family is like all their charts are full of blue lines. It's like you have no excitement in your life because you don't have to reach for anything. It's already there. Like, and that's very mundane and I don't know, like it'd get boring quick. The red lines are like they add flavor because they are the impetus for action. If you have to compromise within yourself or you have a conflict within yourself, you're going to act to try and fix that. So red lines are fun. Don't be afraid if you have a bunch of red lines in your chart. So those are aspects. The 4 aspects. Next, let's take a look at the progress chart. So that was the birth chart, your nature. And we'll change the settings back. This is mine. Gotta turn on the ascendant. Cool. Great. Oh, I did forget something. The north node. This guy. That's where you're going in this life. If you believe in past lives and future lives, the south node, this guy, see how it's at 12 right there and 12 right there? It's like they're opposite each other. The south node, south, and the north. So which one do you think you have to go towards? The north one, because that's what you've been designed to go towards in this lifetime. The south node's what you already know. If you have planets near the south node, you've already figured that out. It's like a gift that you've been given in one respect, but you can get stuck there in another respect. So I always tell people just like go towards your north node, you'll be rewarded handsomely. If you stick around your south node, you'll probably resent yourself a little bit. Not so fun. Next, we got the progress chart. So everything we've covered so far is the birth chart, your nature. Next, we have the progress chart. Subsidiary chart, progressed. Thank you. All right, so the progress chart is your nurture, whereas the birth chart is your nature. If we go back to 1993 when I was born, all the way back to 93. We're about here. So if we carry it forward to see where nurture has brought my chart, when I'm 1 year old, we're going to be at May 22nd, 1994. Because that's like 1 year in the progress chart is represented by 1 day in the actual planetary alignment. So say I'm 1 year old. I just made it to 1. The chart that we'd be looking at to determine my nurture would be May 22nd, 94. Right But say we wanted to know how my life's going to go at age 2. Then we go to 95. And then we look at the progress chart. Notice how the moon moves pretty quickly. Here's 96 when I'm 3, when I'm 4, 5. So, you know, when I'm 3, the moon transits into the 7th house of partnerships. That's when, you know, as when I reached age 4, I'm like meeting the neighbors and like meeting new people. Like the houses are the area of life that that character is operating in. So 7th house moon transit in the progress chart, for example, is meeting people, making new partners, ride or die people. And as we keep going, 98, 99, 2000. So the moon is moving very quickly. It moves a sign every 2.5 years in the progress chart, whereas the sun takes 30 years to go through a sign. When planets change signs in the progress chart, you are closing a chapter of your life and opening a new one. It's crucial. So let's see, when did it happen for me? When Mercury moved into Cancer, this guy right here. So that happened in 2004. When that happened, I moved states from Michigan to Wisconsin. And then, oh no, that was 2002. And then 2004 was when I went from private school to public school. So Mercury rules learning and being a student. So it changed signs. So I went from Catholic school, Catholic school to public school. Like when a planet changes signs, whatever that character represents is going to change radically. And as we move forward, 2005, 6, 7, 8, see how the moon's moving fast? This guy, it's moving fast. In 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. So here was my birthday this year. The moon and sun are getting close. Will be a new moon. So when the moon passes the sun, it's a new moon. When the moon's opposite the sun, it's a full moon. So, yeah. So that's the progress chart. If you want to know what's going to happen on any given day, then you look at transits. So we'll do that now real quick. So transits are where are the planets right now? So I put those on the outside. And my chart, my birth chart is on the inside. So, and I make the aspects pretty tight, so it's less distracting. See, so we got the sun, Mars, and Mercury opposing my Venus today. So I'm probably going to do something having to do with partnership because there's an opposition in the arena of creating value. I'm making this video for the public. Yeah, that's this line. And then we got Uranus square Mars. When Uranus, the planet of unpredictability, squared my Mars last, I climbed a statue, fell off of it, and almost broke my tailbone. Very sudden Uranus action, Mars. And the square is conflict. So there was an impetus for some sudden action. And that was it. Another example, right now we got Jupiter square Pluto. Yeah, Jupiter square Pluto sort of has to do with luck and abundance and expansion of your world. Jupiter is in Aquarius, the sign that rules astrology. So I'm trying to expand Jupiter, my astrological sort of knowledge within the public sphere, the 10th house, my reputation. And that's what this square is all about. So that's just an example of how I would read transits with someone's birth chart. But really during readings, I combine all three of them. I look at this. I look at your birth chart in the middle, this brown guy, the progress chart, the blue guy, and then the transits, green guy. And combining all of them tells me where you're at and where you're going and where you're at on your journey. I think that covers everything. Obviously, if you guys have questions on the principles, let me know at the beginning of the reading. But yeah, that's astrology for you.